So I thought I'd start this video, hello Alana again from New Zealand. I thought I'd do some crafting, and because I found it quite cathartic to talk about my mental health journey and how I'm struggling at the moment, my last video, I thought I'd share with you my journey to date. So 20 years ago, because my youngest is now 23, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. That was a really hard pill to swallow, hearing that, because nobody wants to know that suddenly your brain's not going to work in the same way that it should. And it was really hard on my family to take. My husband and I, we knew something was wrong at the time because we did nothing but fight. And I mean, my husband's pretty happy-go-lucky, and for him to constantly argue with me, we knew something was not going the right way, and he was constantly getting blamed. And you know, we had two small kids at the time, so 3 and 4. Yep, we had them 17 months apart. Not very clever, but we did. And it nearly broke us, really nearly broke us. So I sought a lot of support then, and first got medicated. And throughout my journey, you know, people did not understand. Like, one of the things my mother said to me was just snap out of it. And that just started a whole flurry of tears, because it's not something I could do. Turns out I've probably inherited it from my father, who probably always was depressed but didn't know it. And their age, you know, my mother's in her late 70s now, you never spoke about that sort of stuff, because, you know, it just wasn't done. You just did not talk about depression and how it affected you. Because it is a pretty recent thing that it's come to light. Thanks for also watching while I craft, because, you know, showing my face is not something I like doing very often. But it hurt. It really hurt to hear, you know, people like my mother say things like, you know, just snap out of it. And, you know, and it was hard for me to wrap my head around, let alone ask my family to wrap their head around it. And with, you know, as I just said, my parents being the age they are, or were, my father passed when he was 69, they didn't understand what that was and how to help. And it was a hard journey to take. And especially when you're a mother with 2 young kids, you're at home looking after your kids. You know, they're your heart and your soul. And to think that actually my brain's not happy with me being at home looking after my kids, and my brain's not working in the right way that it should work. You know, I can't find joy in these things that I'm doing. And not because I couldn't, well, I just couldn't find joy, really. It was something that was just not there for me. And then the constant arguing with my husband because of my constant blaming him for everything that was going wrong in my life, which really wasn't his fault. It was just my, obviously, mental health not working to the point where it could. I had also started working. I'd gone back to work, and I was teaching. I'm a teacher. I was teaching at the time, and that pressure. Then, to make matters worse for myself, I also decided that, hey, I'll take up some university study as well. So all that pressure sort of just erupted, and hence why I think I ended up quite depressed. Got to the point where it was quite hard to even walk into work, because I was quite anxious and get quite nervous and didn't quite know how to cope with things that were going on around me. So needless to say, I left my job not long after to try and work on a few things. I was lucky enough that I could do that, because my husband's job was paying quite well. It was a bit of an eye-opener for a lot of people, I think especially my family, who thought that, you know, how is it that somebody who has everything, because, like, you know, honestly, I do have everything. I've got a beautiful house. This last year we put in a pool, because I've been dying for a pool for forever. We put in a house. We put in, you know, I've got my 2 beautiful kids. They're now 24 and 20. Well, my youngest has just turned 23. My oldest doesn't live with us anymore. He found love and decided to follow that path, and that was fine. That was not easy, but we worked it through. And to now, you know, in New Zealand, it wasn't a dumb thing either, because you had to be strong, and everybody said you had to be strong, and how dare you, you know, how could you be depressed? You have everything. Why is your brain not working like everybody else's? So, you know, things, once medicated and the medication kicked in, things started to go okay. I was able to, sorry, just put that noisy thing on. I was able to work through a lot of my issues. But then, you know, I got to the point where I thought, wow, my medication's working. Look at me, I'm doing amazing. I'm actually living, I'm doing well. I don't need any more medication. I can actually just keep going. Well, then you'd come off your medication and you'd hit rock bottom again, and you just keep spiraling. So through that though, my husband stuck with me, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And we worked out my triggers and where I needed to go, and you know how I needed to sort through things. And one of my triggers is, you know, I don't see the evidence. I live in this state of feeling, and when you're living in a state of feeling, you don't realize that actually your triggers are part of the problem. You're not thinking logically. You're living in this emotional state. Oh gosh, I put that hole too far down. And so, you know, it's taken me a long time, and now I look at it, and 20 years later, I'm now suffering from severe depression again, and not being able to go to work because of something that's triggered me from a chaotic childhood, and I'm struggling. But you know, the mental health journey is not easy, and there's been times where my husband and I, we still fight. I'm not going to say that we don't, because you know, every couple fights. We're a lot more easier on each other than we used to be, but it's not that, you know, we still do fight, and we do find things hard. And you know, at this time now, I'm just trying to work out what's best for me. You know, where am I going to go now? What am I going to do? Should I be going back to my stressful job and working through my stressful job, or should I actually stop now and think, is it time for me to just take time for me? You know, we can afford for me to not work. That's not the issue. Sorry, I'm trying to work out what to do with this. But the issue is, you know, do I spend my time doing this? Do I spend my time crafting and working on my craft and talking to myself, really, because this is what it feels like. I feel like I'm talking to myself, even though I know I'm talking to people behind the screen. You know, do I spend my time doing this so that I can come back to me and discover me again? Or do I, you know, where do I go and what do I do? It's very hard to know, and it's very hard to try and work out. Just so you know, with this little piece, I'm just going to make a quick masterboard so that I can cut it up, find some scraps that I've got lying around, and maybe some stickers, and pop on some stamps, so that I'm crafting and talking at the same time, so that, you know, because that's the way my brain works. If I was just talking, like you do, you know, with a therapist, I probably wouldn't be able to actually share any of this with you, because I find it very difficult to share how my thinking works and how I'm feeling with being able to do things. Well, still, I don't know whether it's a cultural thing, whether it's something I learnt from my family, but I find it very difficult to just talk. And so for me, I'm happy with that. For me, being able to do and talk at the same time has actually been very, very helpful for me. And so I thank you for listening to this. I know it's not something that we all talk about very often, but I look at all the things that we have in New Zealand here to help us with our mental health, and I'm thankful every day for it. But I don't know if it's enough yet. Like, I know that I'm working on myself and have been for a while, but I'm just not sure that we as a nation have covered enough of this to help us. I mean, I'm at the point where, you know, my children are adults. They are working, they have their own lives, they have their own jobs, and so they understand now, you know, how to help as much as possible. So I'm very fortunate in that case. But if you've got young kids like I did when I was first diagnosed, it is the hardest thing in the world to get up every morning and tend to those children when you feel like your world has been shattered, or when you feel like your world is just not, is imploding. And it took me a long time to do that, you know, and as I said, I had childhood trauma. I had an abusive father who emotionally abused us more so than mentally, and same with my mother. You know, it was very manipulative. It was, if you love me, you'll just put up with whatever happens. And so I couldn't use them as babysitters because I didn't want my own children to have to go through that. Because I was never sure that that was actually going to be, that it was all going to be okay. I'm really not loving this. I don't know why. It's like it's missing a bit of colour. I might have to get my stickers out and have a look. So, you know, the journey's hard, and if you're going through it with young kids, I completely understand where you're at. It was a very, very hard thing to understand and to be able to cope with when you have young kids, and to know that actually you can pull through and you will get through to the end of this. It's just how is the question. And I mean, I was fortunate enough that my husband is very good at supporting us, or supporting me, I should say. You know, it's not, it doesn't come without its own issues supporting me. And I'm very thankful every day and very grateful every day that I have him, because without him, I don't know whether I would have made it. And being absolutely honest, I probably wouldn't have. I would have become one of the statistics in New Zealand where suicide was prevalent, because I couldn't see a way out of where I was. You know, how can I not be happy? I've got everything I ever wanted. You know, had my 2.2 kids and my dog. I got the 2.5, got the house, got the husband. Yet just nothing was working for me. Like there was I couldn't find peace in myself. And actually coming back to this place is just as hard as it was the first time, leaving the place, you know, realizing that I had bad depression and I needed to work through it. And I mean, that was hard. But coming back to this place where I am now, you know, 20 years later, and really spiraling, it is hard again. And I'm grateful that I have you guys to talk to let it out. And, you know, I'm grateful I have a therapist, and grateful my doctor understands, and really, really grateful that my sons and my husband understand. I mean, my son's been on this journey with me for a very long time, since they were just toddlers. So they understand, you know, where my weaknesses are and, you know, how best to support me through those. They're also very good at using phrases that help me see things in a different light. But where do I, you know, how do I make myself appear again? Like, how do I go back to finding joy? Like, for instance, this morning I was playing with my dog. So this is our golden lab. Beautiful dog. He's only a puppy, really. He's only just 15 months. And, you know, I'm running around with him. I'm laughing, but my laughing feels false. It doesn't feel like deep, gut-wrenching laughing like I used to do. And I don't know where that's gone. I don't know where it is. And the worst part is I don't know how to get it back. And I want to cry. I want to be sad. But I live for doing my craft, so I craft instead. But in all reality, I really am quite sad, and I just don't know where to get myself back to me. So, you know, if you guys have any tips or ideas on how to get back and how to work through this, even with a therapist, because I mean, the therapist is, yes, she's addressing all the issues that came before, and helping me work through these ones, but I don't know, it's got to come from me, I suppose. I've got to find where I'm lost, And at the moment I feel extremely lost. And I can't voice that to my husband because I don't want him to be upset. Because, I mean, I don't want him to feel like he's the reason I'm lost, because he's definitely not the reason I'm lost. I'm just lost because I'm lost. I know that didn't work, did it? Because it's the wrong side, so I'm going to cut that off. So, yeah, how do we find ourselves again when we're in a state of, I don't know, state of confusion? So, I'm grateful that I have YouTube here, that you're listening, and I'm crafting at the same time. I'm grateful that I've got time to do this, because not a lot of people do. And so I'm very fortunate. I'm sorry, I'm just cleaning up my space a little bit, because you can see because I've got so much on my table now. I'm a little bit of a chaotic crafter, so everything is all around the place and I forget to put things back. But yeah, this is where I am at the moment, and this is where I'll probably stay for a little while. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk more tomorrow. Bye.